on days, but being July and all that stuff, we usually, I see a lot of people on vacation. So we'll start with introductions. George Idell, Emergency Manager, Floodplain Manager here in Dodge County.
Neil Romaine, I'm one of the directors of the Ambulance Authority and I'm the LEPC chair.
I'm Melanie Hurston, I'm on the board of directors for the Ambulance Authority.
I'm Robin Smith, I'm the Executive Director of West Virginia 211.
Mary Connell, Assistant Floodplain Manager. Kim McDowell, Forever Gardens Coordinator, Dodge County Health Department.
Brady Britton, Dodge County Commission Executive Assistant Secretary.
Tammy Beamer, the Herald Record.
Awesome. We'll open up for any public comments, anything like that. Anybody got anything?
I have a question.
You're discussing about changing the meeting time. It's on here. I know that there's not a quorum here, but I'd like to suggest that you might want to move the meeting down to the library meeting room.
I discussed that with her. Unfortunately, there's like pretty much every day is covered. She's already got it blocked off, so we have to wait till school starts and then see what's open.
Well,
I discussed that with her, yeah, and she was like, we're going to have to wait until after school because there's a bunch of people already, so we have to see what's
It was
going to happen.
just because of the parking.
Yeah,
you know?
that's an issue, and that was one of the reasons I looked at that. But yeah, and talking with her, she said, yeah, that she said you'll have to, the days that we pick, pretty much
Thursdays
go
they have
covered.
reading programs for
Yeah.
kids and stuff.
And I think that goes through until school starts, so. Question?
Yes, I was reading over the minutes. I know we haven't got the approval yet, but I just had a question on that. On the search. Here you were stating that people were interested in having like a search, training exercise, or is that something that's going to be?
Yeah, I got that further on now, on our agenda here today.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, we can't really, we don't have enough of a quorum, so we won't approve the minutes, but the minutes from May is back there, and they wants them. We have applications, I think, pretty much everybody's going to go. And then we have Robin Smith from West Virginia 201, she's going to do a quick presentation.
And first of all, George, thanks for inviting me. I always appreciate the opportunity to come out and talk to people about 211, make people aware. I'm going to start with a couple questions this morning. First of all, how many of you have heard about 211? Raise your hand if you've heard about 211. Everybody's heard about 211. All right, let's start from the beginning then. 211 is West Virginia's statewide information and referral service that for social services that you can access simply by dialing 211 on your phone. It's good. It's a free call from either a landline or a cell phone. Once you dial 211, and for whatever need you may have, and we have programs and services from birth to death. Actually, we call them womb to two because we have programs for new parents or parents that are having difficulty getting pregnant or have pregnancy issues clear through end-of-life issues and beyond. It connects to a call center. Our call center is located up in Weirton, West Virginia, and they will either provide you resources from the call center or they will patch you to the county that you need services in. Now, Doddridge County right now, unfortunately, does not have a partner site that covers Doddridge County. So Doddridge County is covered by the call center. But our database has over 7,000 programs and services in it that cover the entire state. So there's a lot in there. And we feel pretty comfortable saying that if it's out there and it's a service that you need, we probably have it in our database or we're going to find something for you to meet that need. We just finished up reporting, we're funded through DHHR, right, through DHHR. So we just finished up fiscal year 16 funding and reports. We have 83% of our calls in fiscal year 16 were for utility terminations. Now it sounds like, wow, that's a lot. I mean, we took over 20,000 calls last year. So 80% of 20,000 is a lot of people calling for utility terminations. Is that the only thing we do? Well, it's not the only thing we do, but in the state of West Virginia, the Public Service Commission has a law that says that any publicly traded utility in West Virginia has to list a number for assistance on any termination notice that they issue. So if you get a termination notice on any of your utilities, there has to be a phone number and a statement on that utility termination that says if you're unable to pay this bill, call. Well, there's 55 counties in West Virginia. Guess what they list? They list 211. So we know that that drives that number way up because it's an easy number for them to list because it covers the entire state. And then we're going to break it down county by county and get them either to the local DHR office or the local service that provides utility assistance, whether that be a church, the Salvation Army, a local organization, or whatever. So that's what kind of drives those numbers. We have been really busy the last couple of weeks. Well, we've been really busy since the 23rd of June, because we also work very closely with VOAD, which is the Volunteer Organization Activated During Disasters, Homeland Security and Emergency Management. So we try to take from them, off of the 911 centers, the non-emergency calls. So whenever there's any kind of a disaster in the state, whether it be flooding, which we're experiencing now, or snowstorms, or fires, or whatever, water emergencies, we've dealt with those as well. We take the non-emergency calls and we maintain the list about where they can go for supplies, where they can go to get diapers, where they can go to get water. You know, what's the list of approved contractors to do estimates. We keep those lists, and the victims of whatever the disaster might be are directed to call 211 for those resource numbers. And then those calls aren't going into the 211 centers, which would be overloaded and are more prone to try and react to the real emergency calls. So that's another role that we have in West Virginia. We've been really, really busy doing that. Since the middle of June, our call volume has almost doubled. We ran those reports over the weekend, and we're up about 43% for what we're usually doing in the same time period. So, and I would say that probably 90% of that 43% is flood victims calling for information. But we do work really closely with FEMA and the Homeland Security and Emergency Management team. So we're on those calls, we're getting step reps, we get the list of everything. So hopefully when folks call into 211, we're able to direct them efficiently to where they need to go. I mean, when the people are in crisis, like they are with the floods, it's often very difficult for people to understand and track where they need to go. People don't think, well, when they're in crisis, I understand that, I think we probably can all understand that. So what we try to do is make sure that they're not getting the runaround. That when they call and say, this is what I need, that we can get them to, most efficiently, to the call or to the organization that's going to be able to meet their needs. We've been working with a lot of volunteers and volunteer groups too during this last disaster. It's not just the victims calling, it's people calling saying, how can I help? And, you know, we have a truckload of supplies, where does it need to go? You know, where is it most needed? And we're maintaining all of those lists too. So we're sending people to DRCs, we're sending them to warehouses, we're sending them to churches that are doing supplies, and our food pickup. Actually, they're not asking for food yet. Because many of the victims that were displaced aren't in permanent homes. They're still in temporary quarters right now with very limited storage. So things like clothing and food they don't want yet because we don't have any place to put it. We're starting to see that turn because a lot of the mock-up and cleanup is done. FEMA is moving trailers in. I don't know if you all have gotten that information, but FEMA is moving trailers in to set up to have more permanent but still temporary housing for families that may not have found someplace else to live yet. So once we get families replaced in those kinds of homes, then they'll start focusing on food and clothing and more personal items. So this is kind of what we do and what our role is there. What else can I tell you? We have been in operation since 2004. We've been around for a while, so we're going on 12 years. It'll be 12 years in November. So we kind of have our act together. Our model is very simple. All of our calls go to Weirton, from Weirton, the operators at the call center in Weirton determine where the caller needs services, and they either handle that call there or they patch that call to the county where there's a partner. Our partner agencies, we have 5 of them, they cover 20 counties right now. Hopefully that's going to expand within the next couple months because our partners are going to take on more county responsibility. Our partners are living in the counties or they're familiar with the counties that they provide service for. That's really important to us because we know that, for example, with these floods, we've had churches that have popped up and started feeding programs. They've got shelters in their community buildings. They're doing supply distribution. Now, those things aren't going to be there forever. They're only going to be there in response to this particular disaster. And if you don't live in that community, you probably aren't going to know that. And our folks that are up in Weirton are not going to be able to track that information for Clay County. They're not down there. They don't know. So we think it's really important to maintain a presence in a local community or county so that we can keep track of those kinds of things. So we know when the First Baptist Church quits running their feeding program. I mean, we may get it through VOAG, but we may not get it for 2 or 3 days. So it's really important to have that local presence, and we're working really hard right now to expand that beyond the 20 counties that we currently have. Our call center in Weirton is provided by a lot of those communications. Some of you may know that. We do a lot of emergency management, first responder kind of things. They have a security and communications company. They provide that service to the state pro bono. I pay a phone bill, they provide all the labor. They have an inbound call center up there that has state-of-the-art equipment, and that's all provided to us for free. So it's a great private, nonprofit business partnership that has been very successful in providing the service to West Virginia. What I'm going to hand out is I have some brochures. They're not folded, they're tri-fold, but we try to save money everywhere we can, and they charge me 2 cents a copy to fold these. So we don't have them folded anymore. We just get them handed. We just hand out like this. So go ahead and take as many as you want. And we also have we call these first responder cards. They're just little business cards that very quickly talk about 211. I put these back in the box and set them around. You can see those as well. We encourage EMS personnel, fire, and actually we create these for law enforcement to be able to hand out in the field if they need them working with families or individuals when they go out on calls. It's something that they can just hand to individual or a family member to be able to, and you can just keep those, you can keep them in the office and hand them out. I've got plenty of them. And the same with the cards, you can just keep all of the extras. So, and if you need more, either brochures or cards, just call me or email me. I'll be glad to send some more out. Do y'all have any questions? I mean, that's briefly who we are and what we are and what we do. We do have a website, which is wv211.org, where I think it's on the brochure. What we have been able to put up in the last year that we're real proud of are the mobile sites. We do have mobile sites available for both iPhone and Android. You just have to go into your app store for whichever model you have and either look for WV211 or West Virginia 211. But there is a mobile app that you can download to your phone that will let you search our database right online, right from your phone. The database is also on the website. The website's new. It's only been up for not quite a year yet. We're real proud of it too. When you go to our website, as soon as it comes up, there's a button right in the middle of the page that says Need Help. And you just click on that and it immediately takes you to our database. And you can search that. So if you're working with families in your community that might need services, it's a quick and easy way for you to search our database to be able to get information on services in Doddridge County or surrounding counties to be able to refer people to get their needs met. If you're on our website and you're looking for something in the database and you know it's there and you just can't find it, let us know. We're constantly doing updates. I mean, anytime you have a database, you guys probably know this, anytime you have any kind of directory or database, and you're constantly updating it. And as soon as you get it done, somebody changes a phone number or they move, and now you have to go back and start over. So that's a constant process for us to try and keep that database current. So if you're in there, or if you're in an agency and you're looking for information, you know something's changed or something's wrong in here, let us know. There's a button right in there that you can click on to send us an email that says this has changed or you need to update this record, and we can take care of it from there. Yes? Question?
Doddridge County's handled through Weirton right now?
Yes. Yeah.
So it doesn't get passed off to,
It does not at this point in time get passed to a partner. Now, we do work very closely with the community action programs and the family resource networks that are covering the individual counties. So if it's something that we can't find just by searching our database, we will refer it back to either the community action or the family resource network that covers this particular county. So, we're always, again, trying to get the caller back to their local area, somebody in their county, because we know those folks are going to know most about what resources are available. Community action programs in West Virginia all have community service programs, which have a function of information and referral. It's not their main job, but part of what they're charged to do, part of what the family resource networks are charged to do, is to maintain a community directory that talks about, where can you go to get food or shelter or mental health counseling or emergency services, programs for teens, whatever. They're both charged with trying to maintain those database or even a paper file of those kind of resources in their community. We work very closely with them. Yes, ma'am.
I know we have local churches that have outreach programs and food banks and things of that nature. But if you're saying that you don't have any source here that you're able to transfer that caller to, or?
We don't have, no, not right now. We don't have a partner that covers 211 as a comprehensive INR, meaning that they would have information on all of that.
And how would they do that?
We will accept new partners. You have to kind of go through the vetting process with us to be a partner. And actually that's much easier right now because we do have, 2 years ago, we went to a web-based program to maintain our database. So instead of having to, put a disk in a computer somewhere and load a program, now you just go online and log in. So we look for folks that have access to the ability to do that, that have the ability to maintain records, to be willing to keep the records for Doddridge County current, because that would be part of the responsibility. If we brought on a new partner, not only would they be answering the calls for this area, and we probably, if I'm remembering Doddridge County statistics right, we're not talking huge numbers. Doddridge County may have 18 to 20 calls a month. It's one of the smaller counties, and we track that by county every month as well. The nice thing about the new software is that the reports that we can pull from that software are just amazing. So we track number of calls by county, number of calls by need, all of that. But they would, you have to have set hours during the week that you can answer calls. We don't expect our partners to answer the calls 24/7. That's why we have the call center. They do that. And we answer calls 24/7, 365 days a year. There's somebody even there on Christmas to answer the calls. But yeah, they would have to be able to maintain the records and take the calls.
So what kind of, in the other counties that you guys can direct, what kind of organizations?
United Way, 3 of our partners right now are in United Way offices. 2 of them are independent nonprofits, and that's what they do. That's part of what they do is emergency assistance and information referral. Information referral is a profession. It sounds like it's just a service, but it is a profession. There's a whole certification process for people who do information and referral services. There's a whole certification process for people who maintain databases. So it really is a bigger profession than what a lot of people think that it might be. We have a national organization that we belong to, and they kind of they set the standards, they oversee processes and policies and things like that. could. The Salvation Armies are in our databases for all the counties that they cover, but some Salvation Armies have community service programs, so that would be another place that it could sit. A lot of opportunities there.
Now, are there grants available for those people, those organizations to do this?
Yeah, but independently, folks have to go after those themselves. I mean, we struggle to just get enough money to keep our organization running. And with the state's budget right now, this year in particular, that has been a real struggle. So, but we're funded through the state. We do have nonprofit or private donations. We have grants from public and private trust and funds. So, we like everybody else, we're taking nickels from everywhere and trying to put it together and make it all up just to keep it running. So it's kind of what we do. There are other programs out there that do information and referral that we call them specialized INRs. Child Care Resource Centers, I don't know if Donner County has a Child Care Resource Center, but they're specialized. Senior Citizens Programs are specialized. The state has even a couple that are specialized. The Help for West Virginia, the new one that just popped up last fall around addiction and mental health, is a call center. It's an information and referral program where you call in and they do an assessment and then we refer you to a treatment center somewhere in the state, for whatever's appropriate, for your addiction, your mental health issue. They're not providing that service themselves. They're just collecting information and referring you on. That's what information and referral is. But that's all they do is drug addiction and mental health. West Virginia 211 is the comprehensive INR. I'm not going to say 100% because I know we're never going to be 100%, but we're probably 99%. We're probably so close to having all of the services that any of the specialized INRs have in our database. I mean, we're over 7,000 records now, so for a state that has 55 counties, 7,000 records is really a lot of resources. So there's a lot of good programs and services going on out there. It's just trying to connect people to them. And a lot of times, again, like I said earlier, when people are in crisis, they just don't think straight. I mean, you guys can all think about that times in your life that something has happened and you're kind of disjointed and not really understanding. And where do I go for help? And my father used to say to me on a pretty regular basis because I was just one of those kids growing up. But they're put through the grace of God alive. It could be any one of us. I mean, our program of service doesn't look at income. We collect statistics on income just because our funders want that information, but we don't look at that as a qualifier. Because we know that it could happen to any of us any day, any time. That somebody may need help and not know where to turn, and we're where they need to turn. We're going to help them figure out and help them prioritize on what they need. I mean, I've had people call. I took a call one time, a lady that she wanted her cable was in termination. Well, we don't do cable. We do utilities, but we don't do cable. And then in talking to her, I'm finding out that she's got a utility termination. She's got, like all of her electric, all of her utilities are in termination. She's worried about a cable. And I'm trying to talk to her and say, ma'am, first of all, we don't do cable. There's not a program out there that's going to pay your cable bill. It's like $160. She had a dish or something. I said, they're not going to pay your cable because that's considered a lifestyle choice. We'll pay these other utilities that are more important, And then as we got talking to her a little bit more, what we found out, and this was actually as illegal as you can probably get, but she had the cable, the satellite dish on her trailer. And she had the cables going to the trailers around her. And all of those people were paying her. And they hadn't paid her. So she didn't have the income that she typically would have to be able to pay her bills. So, did we terminate? No, we didn't. But we explained to her that it was illegal. And if she got caught, that she was going to lose, they'd pull the cable, she'd never get it again, and she'd lose all that income. But we but we did pay her electric bill. We paid her electric bill, we kept her electric on, so that she could continue criminal activity, yes, probably. But it was her source of income, and so that's why it was so important to her. So sometimes when we get on the phone and talk with folks, they'll call in with the most absurd kind of, this is what I need and this is what needs to be done. It's because that's what they can focus on when they're in crisis. I mean, she was in crisis, she was losing income because that really wasn't paying. So those are the kinds of calls we get, and that's kind of what we deal with, not on a regular basis, those are really kind of the unusual calls, but that's what we do. Other questions? Okay, George, thank you.
I want to
very
thank you
much.
for coming out, and we'll put these out here in various areas, hopefully, to
Sure.
your partner.
Call me anytime, I'd love to come back, give you updates, or, you know, if you guys run exercises, I heard that, you know, if you want us to be involved in that, we'd be glad to do that. But yeah, feel free to refer anybody in Dodgers County to 211, and we work out about 211 providing services now. Okay. Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Sure thing.
We're going to table the community conversation.
That was just downstairs. Is there a way that I can get a copy?
Well, if you just.
On the update for the shelters, met with the Board of Ed yesterday. They're looking to put a generator and add another gymnasium at the high school. I gave them some information. There was, for whatever reason, there are people that were against having a generator at the high school, but we're going forward with it. Give them some information, some places to go with it. Hopefully they'll get a grant out of it. We'll be able to get a generator for high school. As far as the fire, part 2 was sent in June 1st. Part 3 is due September 1st. I'm working on that right now. And the Tier 2 reports, I got all the information kind of compiled. I just need help putting it together into a report. We'll put it out to the public. Red Cross Dave's not here, he got a job, what I'll do is I'll get with Jesse Pock, he's the guy that's over in Parkersburg, and help him out if Dave's not even needed. Because Dave just got our job somewhere. And then the CERT team, Shane Brown is certified, we were discussing the CERT. He's certified to do CERT, he's going to start holding classes, he's going to be here, but he's on vacation. And then for the training opportunities I gave out, what was going on last in May, due to the flooding issues that we had, a lot of the training has been canceled, and a lot of things are kind of postponed. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. And also on the sheltering, I looked at the southern end of the county. I talked to I left a message with the church in St. Clara. They never returned, and I talked to Susie Richards. She's over there in the Methodist Church in Meehouse Fork. They want to become a shelter. And they have a generator. The only thing they had to do was wait on a hookup, and then their board was going to vote to whether it open as a shelter. And they're big enough to do so. So I'm waiting on that as well. I'm looking for a shelter up in the 23 area. Any other questions?
I think it'll be good just to make a comment. For the generator to be at the high school and for that to be taken care of, because if there were to be a disaster here in Dodgers County, there are a lot of residents here. And we have a lot of little shelters, but we need something, if need be, that we would be able to have in place for a lot of people.
I agree. And especially if it's going to be long-term, the fire departments and the smaller shelters would not be able to hold people long-term, like the high school and the park building. And we're also looking at maybe getting a generator for middle school as well. Then they have a gymnasium there, and then they'd be able to house people. The only thing I discussed with them is because they're close to Mark West, if the issue was Mark West, that would not be a good place for a shelter. They're looking, I think, 2 months. Maybe in that back portion.
Smith School, the one down southern part of the county,
The Smith Building?
Yeah.
Yeah, working on that. Dominion, I was working with Dominion. They're looking
No,
at that.
I'm talking about contact people, Cheryl Sleeth and Pam Nicholson.
Yes, what about it? I
Well, I
talked to them
thought-
not too long ago.
You said you'd spoken to the church down there?
Yes, I left a message. Are you talking the one in St. Clair?
Well, Smith School and St. Clair is just right there,
Yeah,
together. I mean, there's a hill.
because they had offered as well. 'Cause
Oh,
they-
okay.
And
Okay,
I
well-
never did get a hold of them to talk to them about it, but they had asked about doing shelter if needed.
Okay, well, with Smith School, it's Pam and Cheryl. Those are the two contacts. I finally got names, okay?
Right. Anything else? Moving along. Well, since we didn't really have a meeting, so to speak, we'll table the meeting time and location. We'll put it out. See if next time some people show up. But like I said, normally we do things. So we'll work on it. Anything else? No?
Yes, adjournment.
We done.
Thank you, everybody that came out.
Yeah. I think the lady put out some really good information.
Yeah,
I knew she existed. The only reason I found out she existed when we had the snowstorm, she sent a message to Facebook. And I was like, who is this lady and what did she do? So I had talked to her back and forth, and she finally said, hey, I think we're out. I was hoping she'd come out and maybe a lot of people. We'll put these out. And go from there.
George, do you have a copy of the new information referral booklet put out by the FRN? That's what I went
Yeah, we did have
downstairs.
that copy, yeah.
I went down to get a copy of it for her, but nobody has a copy downstairs, so.
They don't have one?
That's what I went down to see about.
The family resource, I think there may be a couple of reports, there were, with the records. Thanks for coming. Yeah, like I said, usually what we, well, you get good. Yeah. At least you get to go to the library every day.
Yeah, this is that's nice.
Always wanting to. We'll see you later.
See you later.
All right. How's it?
That's why I stole the good chair from you.
Yeah, you did have a cushion there.